Hello, everybody. So, a year ago, I made a video thanking everyone for everything they did for me and my sister after my mom passed from COVID. So, I felt it was only right to make a video a year later. It's hard to believe that it's been a year since mom left us. Today, December 18th, 1 year ago, my mom went to heaven. And this has proven to have been the hardest year of my entire life. The hardest year for me, the hardest year for my children. It's just been a very hard year, and I don't think people that lose someone so close to them talk about it enough. There is no playbook, there's no guide on what you do when you lose someone that you love so much. You know, last year on this day, I was really just in shock. I mean, I hadn't pulled it all in. I had went through losing Brian, and then it was a month of torture with back and forth with the hospitals and not knowing what to do and what decisions to make, and just wanting mom to live and do everything that we possibly could to help her survive. We put her on the vent, and for a month she fought very hard, and I'm thankful that she did that, and we got that month with her, even though she wasn't awake. And obviously I wish that it would have been more moments of her being awake and us talking to her, and spending that time with her, but it took me a long time to forgive myself for the decisions that I made in that time. And I don't know if I've even all the way forgiven myself or if I ever will, but I know that I can't change it now. I mean, it's a year and she's gone, and that's never going to change. So putting myself through the torture that I was putting myself through, physically, emotionally, mentally, I don't think that it helped me or anyone. So, Christmas last year, I was really still in shock. I mean, she died 1 week before Christmas. I didn't want to celebrate Christmas, and I could have cared less, but I pushed myself through it for the kids. And this year, I don't, like I said, I don't think people talk about it enough that, life doesn't just go on for somebody who's grieving. I mean, you just don't wake up and you're like, well, I mean, I got to keep going. I mean, it is what it is, even though you do got to keep going. You can't just sit at home and cry and be upset. You have to go to work, and you have to make money, and you have to take care of your children, and you have to take care of your home. And there's just so many things that people don't think about when it's not someone that's so close to them that they lost. That you feel bad for someone, and I completely get it. I 100% understand. Nobody's going to grieve the way that you grieve. And a lot of times it's, which I've learned over the past year, it's crying by yourself. You're crying in your car, you're crying in your bed when you go to sleep, and you're crying when you wake up from your dreams, and you're crying in the shower, and it's just, you're constantly feeling like you need to hide it. Not really hide it, but it's like you don't want to put everybody else in your house in the emotions that you're in. And that's what it's been over the past year, is crying alone and being sad and then wiping away my tears and going back to doing my normal day because that's what I have to do. And I know that, mom wouldn't want me to be that way. She would never want me to feel guilty or anything. I know that. But I think it's a natural part of life. It's a natural reaction to be sad and to have triggers. And, Christmas is a big trigger for me. So not only is it the anniversary of her death, but it's also the anniversary of all the memories that we're never going to make again. And it's hard. It's really, really hard. And I would give anything in this entire world to have her here and to have Brian here. I miss them both more than anything. I mean, I feel like time was stolen, and I still feel that way a year later. But I also have to accept what is, and that it was time for them to go home, and this is the way it was supposed to be. This is the way things were supposed to happen, and there was nothing I could have done, or my sister could have done, or anyone could have done to change what was meant to be. But I do think that people that lose someone, like, they need to talk to each other, because everybody wants to avoid death at all costs. And I was the exact same way. Someone I knew lost someone, I didn't know what to say to them. I didn't know how to react to the situation. Do I bring it up? Do I not bring it up? Am I going to hurt them if I bring it up? I didn't know how to handle it. But honestly, I've loved when people have brought them up and brought up the memories and the exciting things that they did with them, and how much they saw that they loved and adored the children. Like, all those stories mean everything to me. And I appreciated it over the years, people reaching out and sharing those memories and stuff with us. It meant a lot to me, and it still does. And there are days where I just don't feel like talking about it, and I felt guilty for that, because the kids will bring them up and will be sad, and and they miss them, and and it's just, sometimes I'm so emotionally drained. I don't want to talk about it with the kids, and I have felt guilty for that on many occasions over this past year. But I've also had to tell myself, like, it's okay for me to be grieving. I know my kids are grieving and they need it, but I'm also still grieving, and sometimes I just need the space to not have to sit and cry, and because I have to comfort them, but I also need to comfort myself, and it's hard to do that when you're the adult and you're the parent. So, but the milestone is hard. It's as hard as I thought it was going to be. I was dreading it. I was dreading this month. We had the anniversary of Brian in November, and every day this month, it's basically been like reliving it all over again. It's every day I'm comparing to last year, where I was at and what I was doing, and today is the worst of them all, because a year ago today, I remember the trauma I felt driving to the hospital knowing that my mom was going to die that day. And it's excruciating. And I would never want to relive that moment ever again in my whole life, but it's heartbreaking knowing that her heart was still beating a year ago today at this time. And the trauma of that day, I don't know if I will ever get over it. It was awful. The day was awful. I mean, the day before, I had no idea that my mom was going to die the next day. But, I mean, the doctors basically told us that she was declining rapidly, and either we would have our moment with her and be there with her and be able to hold her hand when she passed, or we would wait it out and it could become a sudden situation. And that's not what me and my sister wanted. I would have never wanted her to die alone without us being there in the middle of the night or something. So we had to make an excruciating decision to pull everything, but we were able to be there with her on her last breaths, and I'm thankful for that. I wish that we could have talked to her before. I hadn't heard her voice in a month because she was put on the ventilator on Thanksgiving of last year. So for almost 4 weeks, the only way we saw her was with a ton of stuff coming out of her with her. She had tubes, and you know, she had the ventilator in her mouth, and I mean, she was unconscious. So those are the last memories we have with her, and I do wish we would have been able to talk to her. I think that's one of the biggest parts that hurt the most, is I didn't get to hear her voice one more time. But I don't even know if that would have answered the prayers I needed, you know, because there never is another last time you would have wanted. Even if I would have been able to talk to her that day, I don't know if it would have made anything any easier. I feel like I would have wanted that, but I have to tell myself that at the end of the day, you know, I wouldn't have wanted that to be the last day either. So, but like I said, over the past year, people have been incredible. I'm so glad that they were both so loved by so many people, and that so many saw how good human beings they were, and they truly put everyone before themselves. And I'm glad people got to experience that just like we did. And I miss them more than anything. And I wish they were here. Not just for this Christmas, but for every single day. I miss talking to them. I miss calling them. I miss them calling me. I miss them coming to our house. I miss them being with my children. There's so many things that happen, and all I want to do is call them. I just want to call and talk to them and tell them about my day. I want to call my mom, because that's the first person that you want to call outside of your husband or your wife, is your mother, when anything happens in your life. It can be the littlest thing, and you want your parent. And that's how it has been over the past years. something good happening, something bad happening, and the first person I want to call is my mother, and I can't. I can't call her. I can't share the news with her, and it's awful. And losing a parent it's hard. It's really hard. But I'm grateful for the time that I had with them. I'm grateful that I was blessed enough for them both to be at my wedding. I'm grateful that all of my children knew them and loved them. I'm grateful that they knew my husband and that they adored him. Those are the things that mean the most to me. Is that I got those moments with them, and so did my family. And that's all I can do, is just be grateful for the time that I had. And today's rough, and tomorrow's gonna be rough, and this week's gonna be rough, and Christmas is gonna be rough, and New Year's is gonna be rough. It's all gonna be hard. But I'm thankful for everyone that has reached out to us and helped us over this past year and been there for me and my sister. And I'm just so glad that I have her. I don't know how people go through this without having a sibling go through it with them, because she had to experience everything that I've had to experience, and it's been on the exact same level. And I'm grateful that I have someone that understands the grief right along with me. And it breaks my heart for her, and it always will. But for some reason, this is how this was supposed to play out, and it's devastating. So anyone that has lost someone, don't ever be afraid to reach out to someone and ask for help, because even in your own family, people don't understand unless it's directly with them. You know, it's hard to talk to someone that hasn't been through what you've been through, and it's never going to be exactly alike. They're every loss is different and on different levels, and you can't compare them. There's no way to compare it, but it's hard to speak to someone about it openly, and how you feel, and the emotions you feel, and the jealousy you feel, because it's natural. It's natural to be jealous. And I've learned that over this past year, because I was really struggling with myself, feeling jealous of others who have both of their parents, and they're not appreciating it the way I feel they should be appreciating it. But that's wrong for me to judge that way. But it's really just because I have a void of something that I don't have access to, and they do every single day. And I mean, that's life. I can't judge someone for that. But that's just been a natural part of my grief, is feeling heartbroken and jealous because people have that, and I no longer have that. And I've had to learn that that's life. I mean, this is how mine was supposed to play. I was supposed to have my mother until I was 32 years old. And it was her time. And whether I like it or not, that's what was meant to be. There's so many different stages of this grief that I had never truly experienced before, until now. And like I said, there isn't a playbook. Nobody tells you how you're gonna feel, what's gonna happen. when does this stop? When does the pain stop? When does the hurting stop? When does the regret stop? When does all of these, it's just ongoing. And there's no termination date to it. And I think that's the hardest part about talking about grief, is that understanding that there is no keys and then you feel better and then you get to just move on. There's not. I feel like it's something that will last forever, but you slowly start to wake up in the morning and they're not the very first thing you think about when you wake up and when you go to sleep, and they're not on your mind 24 hours in that day. You were able to cook dinner and go to work, and you had moments where that's not what you were thinking about. And I've had days like that. I've had days where it wasn't the very first thing I thought about in the morning, and it wasn't the very last thing I thought about when I went to sleep. And I was able to go through that day happy and not grieving. And then the next day, it's like all that went out the window, and they're all I'm thinking about all day long. And I start crying in my car because a song comes on that reminds me of them, and I'm watching a movie and a little girl loses her mother, and it all comes rushing right back. All the pain, all the fear, all the trauma, all the emotion, it comes right back. And then I realize this is something that's going to happen for a very long time, and there's nothing I'm going to be able to do to change it. So hold your loved ones close, love them, spend time with them, appreciate them, take pictures, take videos. I would have given anything to have taken more videos. It's the weirdest things that you think about after you lose someone that you wish that you would have had. I mean, my mom bought me a birthday card every year of my life. I might have one in a drawer. I mean, it's something that stupid, but I was like panicking, looking around, trying to find stuff where her handwriting was on there and where she had wrote my name. I don't know why that meant so much to me, but I wanted something where she had written my name. And the one that hurt the most, I think, is I don't have a single video of her saying my name. I don't know why that hurts me so much, but I would give anything to have a video of her saying my name. I have videos of her, none of them with her saying my name, and I don't know why that one hurt so much, but I think it's just because I was so used to hearing her call me and, hey Brogue, what are you doing? Hey Brogue, all the time, every day. And if I could have that to replay that, that would mean the world to me. But I don't. And that's another part of grief. You're not going to have every little thing that you want, every little picture, every little memory. I mean, I wish I had them on video, but I don't. So I have to cherish what I have. And you know, there were so many times going through pictures that I had taken a ton of pictures of the kids when we were at places, and I was like, Mom and Brian were there, Mom and Brian were there, Mom and Brian were there. Why didn't I take a video? Why didn't I take a picture? Why didn't I do this? Why didn't I do that? It's because you don't know. You don't know that one day you're truly going to want those moments saved. You have them in your memories, and you're not going to have a video of everything. You're not going to have a picture as much as I want it. And if I could take it all back, I would. But I can't. It's all been a part of acceptance. I've had to learn to accept what is and what I have and where I've been, and the grief. It's all had to be an acceptance in myself. And I'm not all the way there yet. I couldn't even sit here and tell you a year later that I am content on everything that happened and I'm content on how I feel. And I mean, because I'm not, but I'm trying as hard as I can to understand the grief and allow it to be, and allow me to feel without feeling like I need to hide because I'm crying at 2 p.m. for no unapparent reason, but it's just because something happened that triggered me to be upset, and I don't want to explain it. I just want to be able to do it and be on my own. And I think that everybody is different. Some people want a ton of people around them at all times, and others want to be alone. And I think that I've learned that most of the time when I feel that way, I just want to be alone. And I know it's hard for my husband to understand, and it's been hard over the year, not just on me, but on him, because it's, he's like, when do you want a hug? When do you want me to give you space? I mean, I wouldn't have known what to do in those moments either. And it's been hard. It's hard on so many people, not just you. And I've learned that. But a year ago today, my mom gained her wings, and she went to heaven, and she was at peace, and she wasn't in pain anymore. And I'm grateful for that, because I don't know what kind of road she would have led if she would have survived it. It could have been awful. I mean, she may never have been the same again. Her lungs had been so traumatized during COVID and being on the ventilator. I mean, as much as I would have done anything in this entire world to keep her here, I don't know if it would have been a fulfilling life for her, especially after losing Brian. And I've had to come to terms with that, because a lot of people said she would have been heartbroken, and I believe that, but at that time I was so selfish, I didn't care, because I'm like, we're her children, like, we'll figure it out. Like, is she gonna be devastated? Absolutely. Are we devastated that Brian's gone? Absolutely. But I wanted her here with me so bad, I couldn't, it was like a blocker, And then after she passed, I felt guilty for feeling that way, because maybe I was being selfish by wanting to keep her. And, it's, like I said, there isn't a playbook. We don't know how we're going to feel until we're in those moments. And I don't think there is a right or wrong. I think you're allowed to feel those emotions. And you have to learn that feeling guilt is a natural part of the process, but also learning that you can forgive yourself for feeling that way, and there's no right or wrong way to handle it. I mean, it's different for everyone, and that's okay. It's okay. Some people want to talk about it with everyone, some don't. Some people want to cry, some people don't. I don't think that there's a right or wrong to it. And that's what I've had to learn over the year. But I want to wish everyone a Merry Christmas. And I mainly made this video because I needed to prove to myself that a year later, I survived it somehow. I didn't think I was going to. I wasn't sure if I could, but I did. And I'm still surviving every single day. I'm still making it through every single day. and all is not lost. And I know that that's what my mom would have wanted. She would still want us to enjoy every moment and every holiday and to love each other. And she would have wanted me and Raina to be happy. And this is proof that, as excruciating as it is, a year later, I'm still living every day and I'm still pushing through it. And I know that's what she would have wanted. I love you, Mom. I miss you. And I hope you're really enjoying it up there, because it's excruciating for us down here. Merry Christmas.